Elliott, at first blush, how do you read a story like this? I mean, obviously investors are reacting, sending shares down more than 4%. What's your reaction?
So my reaction is that it's somewhat new news, but also somewhat old news, because we already knew from November that the Federal Reserve was investigating Morgan Stanley on this very issue. This story suggests that the probe is a little broader, and other agencies are looking too, including the SEC, the OCC, and so it's more than just the Fed right now.
That's a really good point, right? And it's good to that they were already being looked into. But I do wonder, Elliott, you know that as more parties come in, I don't know whether that is, again, speculation. So forgive me, but this is where I'm going to go. But is it then? Can we read anything into that maybe that there's a lot more going on, and that there's a lot that they feel like they've got to uncover or reach out to other agencies to kind of figure out the breadth of this kind of size and scope?
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. And when the story came out in November that the Fed was looking at it, we used a fine that Deutsche Bank incurred a couple years earlier as a comparable, and that was roughly $185 million. But now that you have additional agencies, they often pile on because it might be a little broader in scope than initially, regulators thought. So I expect the penalty could be a little north of what Deutsche paid a couple years ago.
Okay. When we think about how a bank is supposed to vet clients to make sure they're not involved in or at risk of laundering money, what are they typically doing? Yeah,
I mean, they have to have, controls in place, procedures in place. They have to have robust anti-money laundering compliance processes. And what often happens is, shortcuts are taken, clients are, walked through without the proper, or, they're accepted without the proper vetting, and so that's where the banks sometimes run into trouble.
Well, I think some of the scrutiny of some of the overseas banks, right, when it comes to kind of very high net worth individuals that were in kind of private banking, if you will, because this one specifically is looking at how they have been investigating the identities, but they also say some of the probes are focused on the bank's international clients, and so it kind of gets into this, how much do they really know about these individuals?
Right, and in particular, I think there's a lot of scrutiny of wealthy clients from Russia, and you have a lot of sanctions in place on oligarchs and other Russian individuals. And from the article, they mentioned that some of these clients may fit into that category as well. All right.